Shout out to the Cows gang. I'm your host, Mr. Palmer, and welcome to the show, Victim or Volunteer. What I want y'all to do, grab the nearest couch, sit back, and enjoy the ride.
When I was going to grade school, I was going to Hale, Washington. And I had a principal by the name of Miss Lewis. She was our principal. She was no nonsense. She cared about the students. She cared about the school. She elevated the school because when I first went there in fourth grade, the school was called O.H. Perry. But about time we got to like seventh grade, they changed it to Hale, Washington. And for those who don't know who Hale Washington was, he was the first Black mayor of Chicago. That school elevated within the years of me being in grade school. We went from, you could say, low test scores to being number one in the community. And as far as I'm concerned, it became historical. And to this day, for what I know, that Hale Washington is still a good school. But back in the day when I was in there, when I was like fourth, fifth, sixth grade, it was a lot of fighting and everything going on. I was fighting all the time, not even gonna lie. Like I said, down the line, it definitely changed for the better and greatness. And she's one of the reasons. And a lot of the staffs as well. But I'm just saying, as far as her being the leader as principal of the school. And you have other principals who have did the same thing. For example, you have Joe Clark, who was known from New Jersey. He ran the high school, East Side High. And he was definitely controversial because how he did his tactics to change the school for better, where he expelled 300 students who were accused of being drug dealers, drug users, gangbangers, and so on. He didn't play. And he gained national attention for the controversial disciplinary measures that he took while leading that school, to the point where they came out with a movie, Lean on Me, starring Morgan Freeman. And you also had another principal in the West Coast, I believe in Los Angeles, by the name of George McKenna III. And he was an educator. He was also a former American politician. He was a principal, and that's what he got known for, being a principal, how he ran the school, caring about the community, caring about the education, caring about the students, to the point where they made a movie back in 1986 called The George McKenna Story, starring Denzel Washington. That came out back in 1986. I forgot to tell y'all, Lean on Me came out in 1989. The reason why I'm talking about these principals, because you still have some principals who care about their students, who care about education, who care about students being successful, and try to do anything they can to help and to protect and also to fight for education. Now, you have a principal in East Chicago, out in East Chicago, Indiana, by the name of Abrian Brown. Now, I don't know too much about him, but I know about him now in an unfortunate situation. A lot of students says he's a great principal. He's a good principal, parents as well. The reason why I'm aware about this principal, from what I've seen in the papers, him and also the dean of students, Corey Bailey, and also the head varsity basketball coach, Alaa, Mroueh, have been charged with felony residential entry. I know y'all like, what? Wait a minute. What did they do? Did they try to rob somebody? Did they try to steal from somebody? No, not at all. Not at all. From what I read, they was actually trying to protect students who stole out of the school locker room. Let's get into this. So, East Chicago school officials charged with entering students' home to retrieve stolen property, right? And allegedly, they went to 3 students that stole out that school locker room against the opposing team of a football game. And I guess some way they was able to track one of the iPods or something, and it went to one of the students' home. Now the 3 people that stole went to that school. So this was back in October. Football players that was visiting East Chicago Central High School had items stolen out their locker room. You know what I'm saying? And that's what the officials said. Police said it was 3 school officials went to the home of one of the students suspected in the theft and demanded that the items be returned. So those 3 school officials went to the house, and they was going there for good intentions. They went there because they didn't want to see the students or that student go to jail. They were trying to minimize the situation. They went there for good intentions. But what the police say is they shouldn't have taken the law in their own hands. Now, because of them going up in this house, I don't know if it's a house or apartment, went into this place, the mother was woken up. She said it felt like the mob. It was around 11 o'clock at night, I believe. They was shouting at the student. The mother went to the school, confronted them, or confronted the principal, recorded the conversation. But you know what? I'm gonna let the news speak on that part. Check it out.
The parent of an East Chicago Central High School student claims in late October, her son's principal, Abrian Brown, dean of students, Corey Bailey, and head basketball coach, Alaa Mroueh, barged into her home while she was sleeping. The ordeal is outlined in recently filed court documents, which state on October 25th, the East Chicago Central Cardinals football team was hosting the Hanover Central Wildcats. But during the game, items from the visitors' locker room were stolen. According to court documents, school administrators watched surveillance video showing the entrance to the locker room and recognized 3 of their students as the offenders. Instead of contacting the police, though, prosecutors say they showed up at one of the students' homes around 11 that night. The boy's mom says she was woken up to banging on the door, footsteps coming up the stairs, and claims the coach was in her kitchen, yelling at her son. She says she had no idea what was going on. Days later, the woman met with those school officials, and court documents state she recorded their conversation, where she described, "Y'all came to my house like the mob." In that audio, one of the administrators is heard saying, "We were just trying to avoid them from going to jail," also claiming they didn't bang on the door or break in. Rather, quote, "the door just opened," unquote. All 3 men are now charged with residential entry, a level 6 felony in Indiana. In a statement posted to the school's website, a spokesperson writes in part, 3 staff members were allegedly involved in retrieving stolen items from a student's home. As a result, these staff members were immediately placed on administrative leave while we conducted a thorough review of the situation.
Man, what y'all think about that, Cows Gang? Can you imagine trying to help somebody, try to protect somebody, minimize a situation, and you end up getting the short end of the stick? How many of y'all can relate to that when you try to help somebody and it almost cost you or even cost you whatever you had to lose, whether it's your life, your career, you know, your integrity and everything else under the sun? Can y'all relate? Now, I went on Facebook where somebody, you know, posted the situation. There was a news article, and some of the comments was very interesting. You had one guy by the name of Damon Glenn. He said, kind of sad from my point of view, very sad. I hate to say this, but they should have let the police handle and let that man who stole belongings, that's what he's saying, be charged with felony theft in court and had his life change. It seems like many residents of East Chicago would have preferred that. There's no way 3 administrators broke in the resident's house with deviant intentions or deviant intentions. What they were trying to do was keep the young man out of trouble, get stuff back to the victim, and save the young man jail time. So sad, residents of East Chicago, you see this as breaking and entering. Mother should have been overly happy that they tried to help this young man. Just sad, but it is East Chicago, Indiana. Put those administrators back on payroll and drop these charges. Now, this female, my name is Tiffany Spine-Walker, says, I believe they were trying to help by saving the student from having a criminal record to tarnish their future. I don't believe they broke into the house because that would have been bad for them. They were trying to offer that young man grace, and it was not appreciated. They were being a village. Now, for those that don't know what she mean by being a village, they always said when it comes to the black community that it take a village to raise a kid, meaning more than just the parents, also the neighborhood. You know, we all family. Now, this person named Wana La Cabana says, I think the staff is so fed up with how kids are so disrespectful, misbehaving. I bet you this wasn't the kids' first time getting into trouble. I'm sure they're sick and tired of parents not being accountable for the behavior of these kids. There's so many comments, I'm not gonna read it all, so many, but most of the comments, they're saying that they don't believe that the 3 staff broke into the house. And even in that recording that the mother had filmed, he said, I was just there to, you know, save your son from going to jail. And also, I didn't break into the house. He didn't know it was recorded. He said the door was open or having to open or something like that. And a lot of people are saying, it seems to me, she trying to minimize what her son did to make it bigger than what it is of the 3 school officials. Now, another thing that's going on, they have a petition that's out here on change.org where they saying allow the Principal Brown to keep his job at EC Central High School and other alumni as well. They saying it's rumored that the superintendent is looking to replace this principal, Abrian Brown. And they saying that Principal Brown has been doing a good job and into what he walked to. So evidently this school, it might be, I ain't saying it's as worse as Lean on Me and Eastside High, but it's bad, and I guess he made it better. They said after COVID that they had several changes and in principals over a few years, and they said Principal Brown has been a good principal. He is a son of East Chicago. He graduated from the same school that he's a principal at in 1992. He was an athlete during that time in EC Central, and they also say we got to give them time to continue to make EC Central a better school for our students and for the community. The petition is written, stand with Principal Brown and let him know that the entire EC community is standing with him and they don't want him to be replaced. So far, they got 587 signatures, and anybody want to sign a petition, you're definitely welcome to do. Now, I want to know, Couch Gang, I want to know, what do y'all think about this for one? What do y'all think? Makes you kind of wonder, do people, and when I say people, I'm gonna be nice, I'm gonna say parents. Do these parents really want to help and save these children? Because it seems to me that they want to reward these children for their bad behavior and try to deflect from what he or she did and try to put it on you. But you know me, who am I to judge? Who am I to talk? You know, I'm just the one to sit on the couch. So let me ask y'all this, Couch Gang. I gotta ask y'all, when it comes to Abrian Brown, when it comes to Corey Bailey, and when it comes to Alaa Mroueh, I got to know, are they a victim or volunteer? Man, this is something that definitely makes me think, man, like, man, can't help everybody, or why risk your livelihood for it? You know what I'm saying?
Y'all tell me what y'all think. Appreciate y'all tuning in. I'm Mr. Palmer, and this conversation is over. Couch Gang, Couch Gang.